Welcome back to another episode of Driving for Glory. Today, I fly alone, so grab some toilet paper because it's about to get shitty. My co-host is not available, R.I.P. Cole, but I'm just trying to get into some games and try to analyze what happened over the course of the weekend.
He's not a man. There's nothing more to say.
Glory. We're going to start it off with Chelsea City. I was hype about this game. Everybody I know was hype about this game. This was the marquee matchup we were all waiting for. The champions versus the favorites. Pep versus Chelsea, who he seems to always have issues with, especially away. Kevin De Bruyne and Courtois' little spat involving his girl, which we'll get into later. But all these things were intriguing. Coming into the game, I wanted to see Manchester City's high-flying offense against Conte's well-drilled team. And Conte's plan was to counter the City's creative superiority by keeping the game compact to the defensive 3-5-2. It would have been okay, but the thing is, to play Fabregas, he needs a five-man defense with Conte and Timi Bakayoko. Oh yeah, Timi Bakayoko. Anyways, with the two of them shielding in front of him the same way Paul Pogba and Arturo Vidal would do so for Andrea Pirlo. And that was the idea. He'd play behind them. They had Morata and Hazard up front, and they're trying to just counter them and keep it compact, keep the game in the middle of the field. Now, while this was happening, City's just kicking the ball around. They haven't got as many chances yet, but they're taking a firm grip on the game when Morata, in the 35th minute, gets injured and has to leave. This is when everything goes to shit. The substitute he made at the time, I completely didn't understand. I'm like, who's sitting there waiting? Where's Mishi the Bishi Batsua? He's been doing his thing. He just scored the winning goal in the Champions League game, which we'll get into later. But he's in good form. He's a internet sensation with his Instagram account. I was hoping to see him. Maybe he scores. We have fun with it. Instead, he goes to Willian and moves Hazard into a false nine, which Hazard was already having a bad game. That led him to completely disappear, and it was almost as if they were playing 10 against 9. Rudiger and Christensen balled out. They covered. They did a lot, but after that substitution didn't work out, City ate it up. They took 62% possession, 17 shots to Chelsea's 4 shots to 17. A lot of the game just looked like it was a siege. Like they were standing by there, kicking it around, trying a shot, trying dribbles, 1-2s. Like they just kept resetting and coming back to them. The counter-attack threat, if it's not there, that 3-5-2 and keeping it compact bullshit doesn't work. And then when Jesus passed it to KDB, and that beautiful strike just slew them, And after that, it was done. They had no choice. I was surprised because then I saw Pedro come on, and I'm like, instead of Willian, they could have brought in Pedro because he's played striker before at Barca, even at Chelsea, and I didn't understand it. It looks like Antonio Conte had a shit game. I don't think the league is over by a stretch, but he really dropped the ball on this one. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. City didn't even miss Vincent Kompany. How can you... They missed Benjamin Mendy offensively, and they could have really opened it up if Benjamin Mendy was playing. Another greatest the grandfather, wicked man. But they had complete control of the game. We didn't really see any of their defenders unless they were doing something forward-thinking, and it was basically a complete domination, as dominant as 1-0 could be. Kevin De Bruyne, he gets 8.6 on WhoScored.com. 2 shots, 2 on target. The wicked goal, of course. 6 key passes. Just general ballery, you know what I'm saying? He's just doing his thing. But I thought that Chelsea should have definitely got a little more physical with them. Bought in Mishi, played the counter-attack game, but definitely got a little, like the sub should have been Fabregas coming off and Mishi coming up front. But I don't know. Conte dropped the ball on that. City showed who they are. Manchester United did their thing. So City and United are now slightly clear, and everybody's talking about how it's a two-horse race. I don't think so yet. I think Chelsea and Tottenham are still in it. What cracks me up is that the people that harp about how it's a two-horse race are Arsenal and Liverpool fans who have not been in any horse race. Anywho, on to the next. From there we go to the small city of Barcelona. Apparently Sunday was Independence Voting Day in the state or province or whatever the fuck they call it in Spain of Catalonia. Catalonia is the biggest, most profitable, richest state in all of Spain, except they're not Spanish, they're Catalan and they don't want to be part of Spain and blah blah blah. So anyways, they were trying to organize a referendum for Sunday. The Spanish Supreme Court had told them that it was non-constitutional, which they were trying to do a referendum on independence. So the country they're trying to be independent from, telling them it's non-constitutional, is a little weird. But anyways, they sent out on voting day, which was Sunday morning, they sent out Delta Force, like it was one of the Chuck Norris movies, and they're trying to find the hijackers. Like, they came out in black and everything and just beat the shit out of just regular people trying to vote. Anyways, the Barca supporters groups were claiming that they would try to disrupt the game if it kicked off in order to show their disdain of the Spanish authorities. And the Spanish Federation said that if Barca do not play the game, then they will be fined a 3-0 for the game plus a 6-point deduction. And so the president decided that they were going to play it. There was a band led by PK that didn't want to play on the game, but Messi and a couple of other guys talked them into it. They played, and it was behind closed doors because there was a fear of violence and all that. Felt weird watching an empty stadium game, especially one that has in his prime Lionel Messi balling in it. And boy, was he in his prime. He had 2 goals. His full scored rating was 10. With his 2 goals and an assist to my man Biscuits, they did Las Palmas, which it's curious to see how you can get into a game situation when you're driving through the town and there's an actual war with the citizens and the police going on, and to go from there to mentally preparing yourself to play against Lionel Messi and Barcelona. I don't know how that works, but they did their thing. I was watching the game. Las Palmas were balling out to the best of their abilities, but I mean, Messi had to convince teammates to play, so he had to take matters into his own hand. His 2 goals, one from Denis Suarez and the other from Luis Suarez, like in the 17 minutes, were just pure Messi. Sometimes I think we just take the dude for granted, and if you look at his numbers, it's ridiculous. I'll get into it in a few. But politics aside, this funky 4-1-3-2 or 4-2-3-1 or whatever the fuck it is that this guy is playing, and by this guy I mean Valverde, I don't understand it. It's losing the final remnants of the Barcelona system of moving the ball around and playing what is generally considered a 4-3-3, or if it's an adventurous coach, a 3-4-3, with just one holding midfielder and a lot of running from everybody. This guy looks like he's trying to sneak in a 2-man pivot with Paulinho and Busquets, with Busquets moving up a bit. But we see you, man. Don't try to defense up this team. Like, Messi doesn't have enough players on the field to play 1-2s with and to give all those moves that he likes. Need people. He's not individualist like that. If nothing else, he needs guys to run for him, and I don't know what the fuck they're doing with this team. They're doing good. They're winning, all that, but like the weight on Messi is ridiculous right now, and it wouldn't be surprising if he started just at some point tiring off in the season because he has to carry a whole basically nation on his shoulders. And if you look at it, he had 2 goals and an assist, 11 dribbles completed. He had 2 key passes and 10 shots, 6 on target. For the season, he has in 7 games in La Liga, 11 goals and 2 assists, 6 man of the match on who scored. Like Sergio Roberto, spectacular. He was really good on the right back position. Him and Semedo are clearly head and shoulders above Arturo Alex Vidal. And I don't know what they're going to do about that, but Valverde trying to find him different positions is getting kind of annoying because he's not on the level of the team. So get that shit straight. Denis Suarez had a good game, topped with a nice assist. It was good to see him work, but he needs to do it more consistently. I like where his career is going, but I don't see the club under Valverde's leadership as having much direction. And in the second half of the season, this is going to get exposed. Anyways, Madrid won behind Isco. They did their thing. Valencia won. We're going to move on to Italia, where Roma and Milan played. This was the team that everybody thought had done too much against the team that everybody thought had done nothing. And Roma came out 2-0 winners, even though they probably played their worst game of the season, and Milan looked pretty fucking good, but for their finishing, AC Milan has a forcibly accelerated project because of the money loan that we had previously discussed in this podcast, and so for that, they bought too many guys, and rushing so many players to plug and play, always has mixed results. On a good game, when you're overpowering a team, it's nice, it looks beautiful, but a decently coached team with a solid amount of talent, like a team that has El Shaarawy and Dzeko, will fuck you up if you don't take your chances. They had Bonucci, Romagnoli, Musacchio, Rodriguez, Kessie, Kalinic, Silva, Biglia. Like, none of these guys were there. Donnarumma is the only regular starter from last season that played in that game against Roma. And Roma, a lot of the guys have played with each other for a long time. Big up Kevin Strootman. Sad you went down, but you seem to go down all the fucking time. Anyway, they were playing a wicked press against Roma that had them completely confused. This, along with the fact that their right back, Bruno Perez, was out in the sea somewhere. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. Looked like Milan was really putting it on him. But Dzeko did him. And then, they get another deflected goal, and all of a sudden, before you know it, with Kostas Manolas and Federico Fazio in the back holding it down, they just come out of there with a 2-0, and it was a great performance. Big up Roma. They're showing that, with all the talk about Milan and Inter, Juve, Napoli, like, they're forced to be reckoned with in the league. I don't know how long it's going to last, but they're doing pretty fucking good. Eusebio De Francisco, their coach, is kind of playing a style of football. He always sticks to his 4-3-3. He seems sometimes like he might get overran because, like that, during the game, Milan had a 5-man defense, midfield, whereas he had a 3-man midfield. But the defender stepped up, and he believes in his system enough to where even when they're struggling, he leaves them so that they can learn and experience everything, and it's working so far. I like it. From there, we go to the beautiful Le France Ligue E. Nice played against Marseille this weekend. Why is he talking about this game, you may ask? Mostly because of Mario Balotelli. So, OGC news. were hosting the people's team, Marseille, in what was the only match anticipated to be worth it in France, because PSG is going around romping on people. Monaco, they might drop points, but they're also just like shitting on people in France. So this seemed like a pretty even match, so I wanted to see it. Marseille always have capability to beat a big team every once in a while, but they're not consistently well run, well managed to do it over the course of the season, so they're always exciting. The passion that they bring is awesome. And on the other side, Jean-Michel Seri and my man, Mario Balotelli. He scored within 4 minutes. A beautiful header. And then with a Jean-Michel Seri deflected long-range strike, they got a 2-0 lead early by the 17th minute. They looked to be cruising. But nah, that's not how these rolls this season. They finished third last year, and they've, since the beginning of this season, when they were playing Champions League qualifiers against Napoli, they have had such expectations that they don't look like they're prepared to start the season at all. The Serie negotiation with Barca was a shit show. They completely shit the bed against Napoli in the Champions League qualifiers. They've already lost 3 times in the league before coming into this game. This is the team that finished behind only Monaco and PSG last year. So this is not expected. So it wouldn't really be a story if Mario Balotelli and Manchester City had just scored and it was 2-0. Within 10 minutes before halftime, they gave up 3 goals. 2 to Lucas Ocampos, and 1 in the middle of that to some guy, Pierre Lismelu. But anyways, he had an own goal. 2 minutes after the break, Luis Gustavo scores, making it 4-2. This is after, during the break in the tunnel, Mario Balotelli was screaming at his teammates, 3 goals in 10 minutes? Fuck all of you. So they come back and they're like, nah. 4 goals in 20, please. I'm talking about this game mostly because a lot of small teams have seasons where they overachieve. And if those seasons and the summer that comes right after them are not managed properly, they can lead to the destruction of the team. We've seen this before in the early 2000s when Everton made the Champions League, when Tottenham made the Champions League, even Leicester last season, and how it really hurts you if your squad is not prepared, if you don't have depth, just getting to the Champions League, and when people start come knocking, because if you're a Champions League team, you have talent, so when people start trying to get your talent and stuff, that causes a lot of distress, and you have to be able to manage all this. And it looks like Nice, in how they did it, completely shit the bed, and now they have a situation on their hands. Good luck with it, but Nice, I don't know. Mario Balotelli is going to start losing his mind if you lose some more. Now, since this was also a Champions League week, I just wanted to do a quick roundup of the Champions League, catch you guys up on what happened it's a little earlier than the weekend games I talked about, but either way, it was a lot of fun football going on. So, Roma started off proceedings by romping on FK. Dzeko. That team is becoming more and more a one-man team, especially in terms of goal scoring. Edin Dzeko is doing it. He's breaking records, getting better. I don't know. He's really impressive, and he gave them one of their only away victories in the Champions League. Like Liverpool and Roma don't travel well in the Champions League. This is notorious. This is down to like when Alex Ferguson fielded the second team because they were already qualified in the Champions League, and the second team featuring Gerard Piqué as one of the defenders beat the shit out of Roma. Anyways, that was good to see them get the 2-1. United robbed in Moscow. And it's funny because United and Liverpool were both in Moscow playing on different days. United on Wednesday, Liverpool on Tuesday, and people were so worried about how much hatred there was among their fans that they didn't even want them to interact. But the bigger fear was that as badass as they were, like they know that the Russian hooligans are professional organizations. So they behaved, they kicked ass. Lukaku, him of the alleged racist 24-inch penis, had 2 goals. The penalty was taken by Tony Marshall to score one of the goals, and Henrik Mkhitaryan. My theory on why Tony Marshall, Anthony Martial, took the penalty is because Lukaku has balance for toes, and you know how that goes. Anyway, Paris robbed, went to town, just raped and pillaged Bayern of Munich are now Bayern of Saint-Germain. Between Dani Alves, Edison Cavani, and Neymar, they scored the 3 goals. The lot was made about how Neymar and him hugged after the goal, blah, blah, blah. But the real star of the game was my man, Kylian Mbappe, who should right now have some sort of ownership papers to David Alaba, because he sent him to town on a task and the guy still doesn't know what's going on. But the big story here at the time, it was funny, was that Neymar and Cavani hugged and stuff, but the real big story was that after this game is when Carlo Ancelotti gets fired due to a player revolt, which we shall get into. It's an educational process, my friends. You shall wait, you shall be informed. It was good football in this Champions League this week. Sevilla took control, laid the gauntlet down in their group, which features Liverpool. After tying Liverpool the first game around behind Wissam Ben Yedder, but after his scoring achievements in the Liverpool game, they go to Maribor where he has a hat-trick. You understand? They win 3-0. They are in clearly the first place team right now in that group. In the other game in that group, Spartak hosted Liverpool, the other team that went to London. They hate Manchester, blah, blah, blah. They did not approach this game the way Manchester did. They did not come in and sweep them aside the way Manchester did. Coutinho scored brilliant equalizer. Good work with Mane. He's pure class. Sometimes I complain about how much he shoots and how wayward his shots are, but you look at it and who the fuck is he going to pass to if he's not going? Get him a midfielder. Anyways, I don't understand why there is a Karius and Mignolet rotation going on right now. Whoever you feel is your goalkeeper, which I think it should be Mignolet because he's at least slightly above or just at average, where this guy right now has been completely mentally fucked to where he's gonna fuck up every game. That free kick, he should have done better with it, but the nature of the game right now, it's been made to be a much bigger deal than it is, and I don't think that the guy is ready to be the Champions League goalkeeper. I don't know why Klopp thinks that. Barca did it once, but Barca had 2 good goalkeepers that were in good form at the same time when they did it. But this is not the way to go. Find your goalkeeper, build his confidence by playing him. This should be simple. Why are you fucking this up, Klopp? Between the Champions League, Karius fuck up, and then the end of the week that through pass by John Joe Shelby, was he on a rocking chair drinking a cup of hot chocolate when he made that pass? Nobody pressuring him. And then it goes right through Lovren and Matip, and my man Jose Perez or whatever just breaks through and just destroys it. The Newcastle score. But how many defensive and goalkeeper errors do we have to see before some sort of accountability happens? Like, we can't see the same thing every fucking week and expect it to change. Like, what are you changing? What's your game plan? How are you gonna... You can't have lesser players in positions and then proceed to expose them by not giving them any cover. You're expecting them to do more than better players. So think that process through. I know it's complicated. Napoli, their fine form continues. They swept aside Feyenoord 3-1 behind. Lorenzo Insigne, Dries Mertens, Jose Callejon. Remember those names. This team is doing something special. They are in top form as a unit currently. I know Feyenoord is not that big of an opponent. I don't know if I could really say that. They're the defending champions of Holland, but it was a very, very, very impressive win among a lot of other very impressive wins that Napoli have had. We'll get into talking about them in a little bit, but I really, really like Napoli. Juve swept aside Olympiacos 2-0. They got a couple of late goals, Higuain and Mandzukic. But it seems like the exertions they did in that game, they go on to tie in the league 2-2, which was a whole video assistant referee scandal going on. I don't really want to get into it. It's so confusing. But they don't seem like they've all the way clicked just yet. I know that's the thing about Juve. They don't necessarily have to look spectacular. They're always going to lurk and they're going to win the games. But this season, I think you need a little more in the Italian league. There's good talent in the other teams, so Juve needs to get their shit together and start moving forward. Barca beat Sporting at Sporting. This is a game that I'm talking about for two and only two reasons. One, Barca's second leading scorer scored again. His name, on goal. Brilliant player. I don't know his market value. You should look into buying him. Secondly, Seydou Doumbia of Sporting did the most amazing dive and stayed in character longer than Borat in any of his movies. The guy, there was injury reports and shit assessed for his dive. That was the most spectacular dive I've seen in a long time. Big up Seydou Doumbia, or should I say down. I know that's corny. I don't give a shit. So, Real Madrid sweep aside Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund and Peter Bosz. I want to actually do a little thing about him in a couple of weeks, but Peter Bosz is a Cruyff disciple or obsessive, they say, but his defensive game plan needs to mature if he's trying to do anything in Europe, because you might get away with this shit in Holland and some games in Germany, but you can't. Just note, look at what I said about Klopp. Figure out your fucking defensive scheme. You can't always be so obsessed with attacking that you don't know how to stop teams from scoring. Everybody has a professional that scores on their team. Figure out how to stop that from happening so often before you start talking about how beautiful your football is. But that's just my opinion, you know. So, Bayern Munich and the complete shit show FC Hollywood has become. They lost 3-0 at PSG, but they had already quit on the coach. Last season they won the league, but they didn't convince anybody. And this is not a club. Like, Bayern Munich and Real Madrid are two of the most cutthroat clubs in the world. Like, you can win it, they don't give a fuck, they'll fire you. Like, they're like, what? Look at me, dog. I swear to God, I'll fire you right now. So the way they played football last year was very uninspiring. A lot of players didn't perform up to their regular standards, and yet they still won the league by like I think 8 points or something. But after that, Javi Alonso retired, Philip Lahm retired. Thomas Muller has had the worst career ever since this guy became the coach, which was bound to happen because he plays such shit football. But when you could tell the Sharks were already circling in the summer when they went out and got James Rodriguez, which was an excellent deal, just business gold, you know. And the first question reporters are asking us, so does this mean this is the end for Thomas Muller? And people were out for him, and to a certain level, I understand it, because when you just had Pep leave and you have a guy come in that doesn't focus at all on tactics and just wants to keep the team spirit up, and it worked when he was at AC Milan, surrounded by absolute professional, like legends of the game that are known for their professionalism. Cafu, Paolo Maldini, like different guys like that were leading the team. The formation was preset with Ricardo Arrigo Sacchi before him, and then he was followed by Fabio Capello. So the system was set, and all he had to do was make sure his players were on point, and they usually were. Nowadays, ever since Mourinho and Pep came up, the group of managers that's coming behind are so into this technical planning that you can't have somebody give you a bunch of info and you're like, no, I'm just going to go for a walk and think about it, something else instead. Like, Arjen Robben said they're training his son's soccer training, like kiddie soccer, was more tactical than what they did. So Robben, Ribéry, Jerome, Dedman, Boateng, and Mats Hummels and Thomas Muller were the main protagonists of this, and not helped by the fact that Lewandowski doesn't seem happy, like nothing's going on. But in the weekend, they tied again with their new coach, interim coach Willy Sagnol, and they gave up a 2-0 lead and finished the game 2-2. With James got back on the bench, Thiago back on the bench, Thomas Muller playing, Robben playing, Ribéry playing, Jerome Boateng playing, and Mats Hummels playing. So it's like, you fired the coach, which doesn't make sense because you should have fired him in the summer. You made the changes, but the changes are all making you extremely old and immobile. So you might have appeased them now, but in the long term, you can't play all of these guys at the same time. So the problem is still there. And Willy Sagnol is a temporary coach. We'll see how he does. But if Dortmund don't fuck up, this is the season to pick up a championship, because Bayern Munich need to turn the ship around. We'll see how it goes. I'm interested to see that, but I don't know. Dortmund, you need to step the fuck up. Bayern Munich have dropped it. From a team that has dropped the ball to a team that is actually running with it and just impressing by the week, I want to talk about Napoli. Napoli is a legendary team with very little history. They've won the league just a few times. They've won the UEFA Cup with Maradona. They had a golden age with Maradona, Careca, Gianfranco Zola, and a bunch of other guys when they're playing in the 80s and early 90s. They were really good, but after that they suffered financial ruin, and they went all the way down to Serie C1, which is like the fourth league, because they had to not be able to use the official name of the Napoli Football Club, and they had to complete, like, this has happened to Fiorentina also before. But while all this is happening, Aurelio De Laurentiis, Italian movie producer, I don't know which Kinflix he produced, but he's got a shitload of money. He gets a group together, he bails them out, and becomes the president. Very colorful character, talks mad shit all the fucking time, but builds a nice team and moves them slowly up the ranks. And when they get back, finally in 2006, after being in the wilderness for a few years, in the 07 or 08 season, they immediately finish in 8th and finish in an Intertoto Cup position. And ever since then, they've been one of the top half teams, and they're balling out. But lately, after Rafa Benitez left, Benitez had taken them to the highest of their highs. And when he left, there was uncertainty about the club. When they announced Sarri as the coach, he had short stints of whatever, but he was generally an unknown guy that's known as a very old school, he's so fiery last season. ManCity, the intercoach, and him had got into it because he called him a faggot, and ManCity, he's not, the edges are still sharp, but he knows his football and he knows how to motivate his team, and they've been winning and they're undefeated. The only other team like them that hasn't dropped a single point in the top 5 leagues is Barca, and they're doing really good. I'd like to watch their football. Jose Callejon, Marek Hamsik, the captain, been there for ages. It's almost like he's from Napoli at this point. He's wicked. He's having a little struggle this season, but this weekend he scored. It was nice. He's back. Dries Martins, who turned from basically a number 10 or a second striker or whatever playmaker into his number 9 due to injuries of Milik, who seems to hurt his knee every time he walks. He's out again now. And it turned into the most spectacular change, and the guy's had an Indian summer, and late in his career he's become a superstar, which is very common in Italy. They have Lorenzo Insigne, another guy. So basically Lorenzo Insigne, Callejon, Dries Martins, and Marek Hamsik are the creative hub of this team. They work for each other. The defense is good. If you get an opportunity, you should get to watch a Napoli game. The atmosphere is fire. They ball out. I would highly, highly recommend it. Anyways, just wanted to give you a little information about who they are, and check out their president, Aurelio De Laurentiis. He is crazy. Talked mad shit about Gonzalo Higuain's weight. Talked mad shit about different agents. He's always constantly talking noise. A great guy to follow. Sometimes you feel like he's fucking his team up with all his comments because he's so out there, but he's done such a great job that, hey, you can do whatever you want, man. You can have whatever you like. Anywho, we're done with that for now. Let's do some awards. Usually it's my co-host that does this, so I am not the best at awarding people things, but I wanted to do, the dude of the week has to be Kevin De Bruyne. This basically, I wanted to give it to Messi, but I had to take a step back and think about it. 5 years ago, Thibaut Courtois smashed his girl. Between that and not getting to play under Mourinho, he was so frustrated that he left, went to Wolfsburg, balled out, won Germany Player of the Season, just destroyed people, got bought back by Manchester City. The headlines at the time were 60 million flop because he had only played 8 games for Chelsea or something. So they're first of all, he just looks like a ginger rooster, so he doesn't really look football-y, so people don't respect him. But in this game, he scored the winning goal in a 1-0 game against essentially his nemesis in goal, and he walloped that ball so hard. Respect. Revenge is a dish best served on a Premier League field, my friend. We appreciate that, Kevin De Bruyne. Still look like a twat. Speaking of twats, the twat happened in a moment. The fan group, the ultras of Legia Warsaw, decided they wanted to make their impressions felt. Outside of their stadium, the supporters group and the conference blocks the team bus after they lost to Lech Poznań. They block the team bus, demand that the players come to talk to them, proceed to slap them around, punch one of the coaches, and told them if you don't perform better next time, we'll be back, and gave them a little smack around and left. So that's the twat up in the moment. Legia Warsaw fans. Yeah, sometimes you just have to slap a bitch. I don't know. The up-and-comer of the week, I want to give it to my man, Wissam Ben Yedder, who, anytime you get a hat-trick in the Champions League, we got to talk about you. I know one of it was a penalty, but this kid is balling. Check him out. I think you'd like him, but if you don't, you're an issue. Anyway, this coming week, upcoming, it's a lot of qualifiers. Northern Ireland hosts Germany. Will Griggs is on fire. Your defense is terrified. Na 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 na. England plays Slovenia, Argentina, Peru, Chile, Ecuador. But the marquee matchup is the U.S. playing against Panama. I kid, but I don't. It's a big game for the United States. They need to get the results. And it might be one of the first World Cups where the U.S. doesn't make it. That would be very embarrassing. You need to canal the Panamanians. The last subject I'd like to discuss, a conundrum that is going on in England, right? Which is Ronald Koeman. Ronald Koeman, I think, is going to get fired pretty damn soon, but I don't know if that's the right decision to make. The shopping that they did, although on face value looks really, really good and had me really excited, they got a lot of players that play the same positions, and now he's trying to force a lot of them to play. Like he's got like 3 or 4 guys that like to play directly behind the striker, and Wayne Rooney, Davy Klaassen, etc. And to accommodate them, he's playing them in various positions, and in doing so, a lot of younger guys are suffering, and the team doesn't have any fluidity. They're hemorrhaging points. Everton, it must be mentioned, is a notoriously slow starting team in the Premier League, but I think Koeman might bite it for this, but I don't know. I think they should be more patient with him and see where this goes, but before they make any decisions, you have to get Ronald Koeman a pure number 9 target man. All the places he's been successful with, and whenever he's won, he's done it with a target man number 9. And Hesse, or whoever the fuck it is your striker is right now, is working. Big up Omar Niasse. He's doing his thing, came back from the second team to ball out, saved them a couple of times, like that guy's playing, but they look disjointed. They don't look prepared for a lot of what's going on in the Europa Cup or in the league. Koeman seems to have lost that team. I don't know what's going on. If they fire him and you see him somewhere else in a couple of years and he's doing good, it doesn't mean they made a mistake. It just means that the situation has become untenable. And I think it's turning the corner to untenable. Ronald Koeman, preemptively, I would like to say, rest in peace. Your job is done soon. We will not be having an episode next week. We're taking it off due to International Week and other commitments. But we'll be back the week after. In the meantime, like us, subscribe, follow. Check out divingforglory.com later in the week. I will start writing blog articles and posting videos on there, so we will not be completely away for a whole week, but the radio show is going to be taking a week off. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Next time, my host will be back. Peace. Diving. What do you think about them?
He's not a man. There's nothing more to say.
Dive in.